go to the people in working board and say, hey.
This is going to be my first talk, so go easy on me, please.
Wonderful. I already know it.
I'm going to cover Bootstrap and an introductory to Bootstrap, what it is, how to set it up, and at the end, we're going to do a little demo, a quick demo. Try to go as fast as possible so that we could still have time to network after. All right. So as most of you know already, for web development, you need something called CSS, cascading style sheets, so that the UI could look wonderful and not just plain black text. And Bootstrap helps us with that, makes it much easier so that we can design our page layouts much quicker and easier. All you have to do is just practice and get to learn how to use the Bootstrap classes. All right, so what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is a powerful toolkit. Is a powerful toolkit and most popular CSS framework. It's a collection of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript tools for creating and building responsive and mobile-first websites. It's a free open source project hosted on GitHub and originally created by and for Twitter. Now, what is responsive web design? Responsive web design is about creating websites which automatically adjust themselves to look good on all devices, from small phones to large desktops. And what is mobile-first websites? This means that we start our product design from a mobile end, which has more restrictions, and then it expands its features to tablets and desktop. So we start small, and as we keep getting big, we start either adding or placing things differently so it can look best for both mobile and desktop. Sometimes at a small size, you don't want to just throw in a lot of stuff because you have a small screen. So you want to make sure you highlight the most important stuff. And once you start growing bigger, you're going to have a lot of white space. So that's where you could be able to put extra stuff, more in details, and have a better site. So why use Bootstrap? Well, advantages of Bootstrap is they're easy to use. Anybody with basic knowledge of HTML and CSS can start using Bootstrap. It has responsive features, like I've mentioned already. Bootstrap responsive CSS adjusts to phones, tablets, and desktop, pretty much all screen sizes. And it's mobile-first approach. In Bootstrap, mobile-first styles are part of the core framework. And this also means that nowadays there's a higher percentage of web travel that are being used in mobile devices, less in desktop devices. So that's why we have to focus a lot in mobile design, because a lot of users are mostly using their phones to navigate the internet. And it's also browser compatibility. It's compatible with all modern browsers: Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer 10 and up, Edge, Safari, and Opera. So where do we get Bootstrap? Well, we could start by going to the website at getbootstrap.com. And now there's 3 ways to install Bootstrap into your project. The first, there's 3 main ways. The first one is through a CDN, which is Content Delivery Network. The second one is you can download your files to the project directly. And the third way is using a package manager. Our first way, a CDN, a content delivery network, refers to a geographically distributed group of servers which together provide fast delivery internet content. A CDN allows for the quick transfer of assets needed for loading internet content, including HTML pages, JavaScript files, style sheets, images, and videos. so that you don't have to waste your bandwidth. These files are already loaded in servers on the internet. All you have to do is redirect them through the link of the CDN URL. And you do this in a style sheet link placed in the head before all other style sheets links. Our second way to do this is, and this is half of our project demo is going to be doing this way, and half of it is going to be through CDN. The second way is through files. You can also add Bootstrap files to your project directly and not depend on any external servers, but your own. Make sure you link them through a style sheet link in the head section and with the correct file path. You want to make sure that they're not broken and that they get there accordingly. This is the safest way to ensure that you can use the framework without a problem. But it does add more weight to your project. That's the only downside. The third way is using a package manager. We can pull Bootstrap sources files, which using a package manager also downloads the files directly to your project. But you don't have to download them yourself. You could just use it through the terminal bash with either npm, yarn, rubygems, NuGet, or Composer. This is done with a terminal like bash and with the respective commands that you can find in the link. All right. So in order to Bootstrap to work, we need Bootstrap classes. That's how they get their CSS to activate. In order to apply the CSS, you insert the name of the CSS class you want to the tag's class attribute. An example we have here, if we have a div tag, we insert a class attribute and we insert the class name from the Bootstrap that we want to for it to apply. And you could use multiple class names. This will have rendered different rules for your website, and so that you could get the CSS desired. You could combine these rules so that you could get a more custom-made layout. Just make sure to always follow the grid, and it has 3 main classes to make the whole structure work accordingly, and for their whole layout and everything to work like it should, for all the classes to actually not break. Alright, so Bootstrap classes, the whole grid is a little bit hard to follow when you see a lot of code. As long as you structure it nicely and you give it some practice, it'll be really easy to follow. First, we have our container, which wraps like a block of contents. And we have 2 types of containers, container and container fluid. Container fluid wraps around the whole layout of the page, and container gives you a margin on each side. Now, I wouldn't recommend to nest them at first, our containers, because they do create, they are nestable, but they're not recommended to as a beginner. You should first start by using either containers, siblings, or just one container for your whole page. Our second class that we need is the class row. These are smaller blocks in your page to identify where you want our third class of columns to break, because right now we're going to explain how columns work, and rows separate these columns so that they don't interlap with each other. Rows could have siblings and be nested as long as there is a column in between. Just remember that rows contain our columns and nothing else. And our final class we need to learn about are columns. So this is where all the fun begins. This is how we're gonna get everything to be more of a Flexbox, mobile first responsiveness. And we're gonna use this to build our layouts and make all type of sizes and shapes and sizes. And as you can see here, we have 12 of them that you could combine them and switch them around. You could have the whole page layout. This is the whole page layout. You could have 12 little things appear on your page, or have blocks of 2, blocks of 3. You could even combine them, have a block of 8, have around 80% of the page filled up, and then the next 40% with other contents. And let's go ahead and let's do a demo. Before we get to the demo, do you have any questions about Bootstrap?
We do, but I think I'm gonna hold them until the end.
All right.
In case we hit it.
So we click on the link, it takes us to my Git repository where we have a project ready to begin. Let's copy this project and let's create a folder on our desktop.
Luis, could you please share the link with us on Slack?
Of course. We're going to use Visual Studio Code. We open our terminal bash and we clone the repository to our project.
Don't you get a net first and then you do the git clone?
I'm sorry?
Don't you get a net first and then do git clone?
The net first?
Get a net.
Mm,
Just do Git clone, sorry.
I always thought you have to do get a net first and then clone.
You already created a repository.
yeah, you don't. Once you clone it, it initially. Well, if you're gonna push a new repository to the Git, then you have to do git net first. So git clone and the link to our project. that folder. So inside this project, we have the master branch. What we want to do is change to the start branch where we're going to have our starting files. I have already pre-downloaded some files that we can work with. We do git checkout start. And the file should appear here now, website. I have already preloaded some images. And made a start.html page and a start CSS page so that we can also add our own custom CSS. You might want to do this in case you want to like add a background image, for example. Bootstrap does not do that, but the CSS, our custom CSS is going to be minimal thanks to Bootstrap. So I have a package installed where if you just put HTML5, it gives you a preloaded template, so you don't have to write all that code. It's already done for you. Now, if we go to Bootstrap here, look at the documentation and how to get set up. The quickest start is using the CDN like we mentioned before. Just copy and paste this link and put it in a linked reference. I have already pre-downloaded the files so that we can put them in our directory and just link them in a link tag. That's the first thing we have to do. Do a link tag, press dot / and our folder should appear here. The CSS file, and we want to do Bootstrap CSS. There's two files, a Bootstrap CSS and a Bootstrap Main minified CSS. All this means is that in the Bootstrap, it's the same exact thing, but yes, Bess?
No, well, keep going, but my question is along these lines. You said it's the same exact thing, but what?
But in the minified version, there's no spaces, it's all compressed so that there's less, it's a smaller file size.
I do have a follow-up question. You've downloaded this Bootstrap thing to your project, which lives on the server, right? And then when a web browser hits it, it pulls what's linked in this head down, right? That one file, not the entire thing, right?
Only when you use a CDN. Right now, I have already downloaded these files into my project.
No, I'm talking on the client side. So on the server, the Bootstrap thing exists, right? And if you link the min.css, then whatever client hit that now pulled that CSS file, because otherwise it wouldn't know how to use that CSS file, right?
It pulls it, but from my website.
Right, but just the one file. It doesn't pull everything that's in
No.
the Bootstrap thing down. Okay.
No, it's just like if you insert image or anything else, it just the href just gets that image, not the whole media gallery. But yeah, so the only difference between the minified version and the other version is that it's compressed. If you want to go in there and customize it yourself, you should be looking at the normal version, which is has everything how we're used to seeing it. The minified version compacts everything. It's the exact same thing.
Do you know the actual size difference? I'm just
I
curious,
don't.
like what are you actually saving with the I mean, it's obvious characters, you got your line feed and character feed missing from each one of those, so I'm sure it's something, I'm just,
Let's find out.
Bootstrap Main is one, what, 90, I can see.
So,
And then the normal was 195? I can't see, was that 150?
150
Oh,
versus
so it's about
195.
45K difference? I guess that matters.
so yeah, so it's 195, the original one, and the minified version is 150. So around 45 difference. We're also going to use the JavaScript one that we also need. For that one, it is 128, and the other one, the minified version, is 55K KB. All right. So once again, we use the link tag and we direct it to the file that we have already loaded in the repo. We have downloaded all the Bootstrap files that we need for the CSS to work. And at the bottom, before the body, we also have to link our JavaScript Bootstrap file. Now, there's some components in here that you could create carousels and other fun animations that require 2 more files that we're not going to use today. This is more for a more advanced session, but the carousel basically, it allows you to do like the type of, like a HTML carousel where you could switch between slides. And for this to work, you need something else called jQuery. You could install it in your project as well, but for today's lesson, we're just going to be having a jQuery-less project. So now that we have all that there, the next thing we want to do is in our body. Let's see. So remember, this link goes before the end of the body tag, right here at the bottom. Now at the very top at body, we want to do a header tag, and at the bottom, a footer tag. These are all new stuff that HTML5 and up has included so that you could have better semantics. And in the middle, we want to have our main tag. In our header, we could put a nav. Let's go ahead and look for a nav in Bootstrap. Here we have a simple nav with some links on the left and just some text on the right. All we have to do is copy and paste it in our project. And as you can see here, it has all these classes, different types of classes. These are all the Bootstrap classes that it needs for all the CSS to activate. And if we save this and open up our page, we should be able to see what we have inserted. And you can see a nav right there. Very simple and straightforward. We could go back to our code. If this is, we want more of a black color. this word here light, we're gonna have to change that to dark. Save it. And all the CSS is rendered automatically. Also, we want to change the text. Let's make just a copy brand. The white highlighted text is going to be our visual text, so we just name this Cafe Shop. Our first link, we want to call it home. Second link, maybe menu. Third link, pricing is good. And over here, just a slogan for our company. Great coffee. Very easy and straightforward. Now we want to add a banner to our page. We want to do that using a Jumbotron. On the left side, under components, we have everything that we can make for Bootstrap. And we'll start with a Jumbotron. Where are you? There you are. This is what a Jumbotron looks like. All we have to do is just copy this. And we're gonna put it in our main. Before we copy that, now here in our main is where our container is gonna go. So we make a div. And because we want this to spread all around across the page, we want to make it container fluid. Followed by a row. And followed by our last class, which is column. Because we want this to spread all across the page, we want this to make a 12 column. And inside there is where we're going to paste our information. We save it. And boom, there we have it. Very easy. Now we want to add an image to the background so it could look nicer. All we have to do is here, for the div class that has Jumbotron, we could also add an ID attribute so that we could customize this CSS. We'll call it banner. And we go to our CSS. Our custom CSS right here. We call it banner. And we want to do a background image. URL. And we'll look for an image. Ones that we have already preloaded in there. Now, in order to link this, we have to also link it at the head. Our customized star.css. Save that. And boom. Easy as that. But did not like that picture though, so we'll change it. can see the hello world kind of disappears because it's almost black on black. So what Bootstrap also allows us to do is change color font from black to white very easily. We go to our HTML page, look where the hello world is, and just add a text dash white to the Jumbotron class. Save that, and boom, very straightforward. Now after we have our nav, our banner, we want to get some products in there, more information. After the first container, I'm going to add another container to know that I'm separating it from the rest. Another div. Where we have our class attribute. This one, because we want to have margins on the side, we don't want to full width, we're just going to name it container, not container fluid. Followed by the row. And we want to on the same row, we want to have two little images appear. So instead of column 12, we want to do it column 6 and column 6. Inside each row, we're going to have another Jumbotron. Look at that from here. But this time we just want to have a header and the button. So let's erase everything else. Now to this Jumbotron as well, we want to add some pictures as a background, so we add another ID attribute. We'll call this inset1. And over here, inset2. Back in our CSS page, we just add backgrounds to them. Insert 2. And that should work if I typed everything correctly. There we have two different images. And that's simple, you create a web page layout. All you have to do is just make sure that all the fonts are correctly. Now for the mobile responsive side, right now we just made a column 6 and column 6, but what happens if, for example, we're looking at a iPhone 5, everything becomes a little bit more squished, and 2 columns isn't gonna work for me. So we have to make sure that using Bootstrap here, we do a column dash 12 when it's small size devices, and when it becomes bigger than, for example, tablets, by including a MD for medium dash 6. From medium and down, it respects 12 columns. From medium and up sizes, it respects 6, and we do the same with our second one. And now it appears takes all the space.
So it does almost like an automatic media query?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
These are automatic media queries. If you look at the documentation, it explains a little bit more. Let's see, where is it? Layout. So we all start with, let's see what it is. These are the responsive, the media query breakpoints for smaller than 556 pixels. It's just the smallest size, extra small. Then from 556 to 766, 68 is small, SM. From 768 to 992, between there is medium. And from 992 to 1200 is large. And anything above 1200 is extra large. So those are media queries that are to Bootstrap. So we make this big again. It goes from 12 to 6 on that breakpoint. As well as the nav right now, it has, if we make this smaller, it creates a hamburger automatically so that it responds to like tablets and mobile devices. And that's pretty much how to use Bootstrap. If you guys have any questions? Cool.
Awesome. All right, guys. Now that the presentation's over, if you guys didn't get the chance to get some pizza or a drink, there's still, I think, plenty of pizzas. And I just want to say thank you guys for coming out today. I know it's raining outside. Thank you, guys.
Great, thank you.
Oh yeah, man. Shave my beard.